Tarzan of the Apes, a character of Edgar Rice Burroughs' famous book, in reality is the son of a titled English couple, Lord and Lady Greystoke, who were put ashore by a mutinous crew in the jungles of West Africa. The maroon couple were left with tools and firearms, and Tarzan's mother and father built the little hut in which Tarzan is born a year afterward. It's the night of their little son's first birthday. Lord and Lady Greystoke are sitting in their rude but strongly built home. Around them lies the jungle, dark, mysterious, teeming with great sinister shapes, mocking with dreadful quiet through the night. The roar of a lion tells that the mighty monarch of the forest has made its kill, and from farther away can be heard the hideous laughing cry of the hyenas, echoing the lion's ponderous roar. The wind rustles the leaves of the trees outside. Both are startled.
What's that, John?
Yes, I heard it too. Oh, it's only the wind in the trees, dear.
It gave me rather a start.
It did me, too, for a moment. Silly as both of us. Nothing short of a herd of elephants could force its way in here. I confess a bit of pride. This place is built like a vault.
Oh, John, I know we're safe enough, but sometimes I don't think I can stand it a moment longer. It's the nights. They're dreadful. There, that's what I mean. All night long, the jungle seems to threaten us. And those hyenas, oh, that hideous cry of theirs. It's like the laugh of a maniac. They seem to be jeering at us. Though someday...
Now, Alice, get hold of yourself. You can't let go this way. You'll go mad. You have to hold tight, dear. For him.
For him. Oh, he's a year old today, John.
Yes, a year old and as sound as a nut. Sleeps through gunshots and everything.
He's a darling, isn't he, John? And the picture of you.
Nothing of the sort. He looks exactly like you. Oh, yes, he does, dear. Why, he has your eyes and that sweet little smile of his. Why, that's exactly like you, dear. There. He can't get it. Dear, tight. I'll pop the leg through the ladder.
He'll burst the door down. I know he will. Look at the bar.
Turn down that lamp so if I can get a bead on the beggar through here.
All right. There. Don't get your face too close to the lattice. He may strike through.
There. See through here. He's a big brute.
I don't bother. Look. Shoot him, John. Shoot him.
There, dear. Hold steady. And we'll have a lion skin to wrap the baby in.
Hurry, John. Hurry. Every time he claws the door, it gives terribly.
Lord, he must be hungry to come up this way.
Oh, his eyes. They're terrible. And those horrible teeth. Oh.
Stand away from my arm. Oh, I put that one right down his throat. Another one will settle him. There, that finishes the lion. It's all over, dear. Why, he's as dead as a door now. Don't be frightened.
Oh, John. I'm sorry to go to pieces this way. Really I am, but you know, the last few days, I've had a terrible premonition that something would happen. It's all silly, I know, but I can't escape this dreadful feeling.
You're just nervous, that's all. Why, any day now we'll wake up and find a boat in the bay. And you and I and the little chap there will go sailing back to England.
Oh, it's been 2 years now, and there's been no boat. 2 terrible years, John.
Why, Alice, I can't understand this in you at all. Oh, buck up, my girl. Don't let it get you this way.
Oh, I'm sorry, John. It's like a terrible threat hanging over. Listen to the jungle now.
Why, there isn't a sound.
No, That shock quieted them for a little while, but the silences are the worst of all. The silence means that something awful and dreadful is passing through the jungle.
Yeah, the silence is broken for you. A panther.
Oh, John, I hate to show the white feather like this, and I shan't do it again. Now there, that's a promise.
White feather? Oh, why, rot. You've been marvelous, Alice. This infernal jungle is bound to get you once in a while. Come on, kiss me and forget it.
Gladly, sir. John, which one of our neighbors is that?
A bull?
It's the apes I hate worst of all. They're so human and yet so far from human. Those long, powerful arms, their awkward gait, and the terrific speed in which they swing and leap from branch to branch.
They are nasty beggars.
That one you shot yesterday. Oh, those nasty, close-set eyes and yellow fangs.
Come on now. Oh, forget it.
Again the cry of a huge bull ape, a brutish creature of terrible strength and awful temper. The ape has suddenly gone mad, raging, foaming mad, with that peculiar madness which suddenly seizes bull apes and quickly passes. He's running rampant among his people. The younger and lighter apes are scampering to the highest branches. Kayla, a young female, comes into the clearing. Her baby is clinging to her neck. She doesn't know that Bullap has gone into one of his terrible rages. Bullap tries her. The others yell hoarse cries of warning. He's bearing down on her. She leaps from branch to branch. He has her by the ankle. She breaks loose. Up the tree she goes. Bullap behind her. She makes a terrific leap to another tree. She makes it. The jar tears her baby's grip loose from its mother's neck. It falls to the ground with a thud. Bulap's roaring grows fainter, fainter, as he hurls his powerful body through the trees.
That bull ape is certainly doing a lot of boasting tonight.
He sounds very close, John.
Oh, he's miles away. Those bull apes have tremendous lung power.
Beastly sound.
Yes.
John, it's getting a little cold. I think perhaps we'd better build a small fire. Baby sneezed this morning.
All right. I want to go out and drag that lion into the shed anyway before the hyenas get at the skin.
John, have you noticed how deathly still the jungle has suddenly become?
Just a lull. Where's the axe?
Over there in the corner. Just a few sticks will do, John. Just enough to keep the chill off.
Righto. Be back in a second.
Aren't you going to take your rifle?
Oh, I'll hardly need it. Just going out to the shed. I'll leave the door open. The light will keep any animals away.
All right.
You know, every time I open the latch on this door, I'm impressed with myself. Well, it's quite an invention, Alice.
Yes, dear. I have admired it before.
Oh, no.
Now run along and get the wood.
Yes, all right, dear.
The sound of Greystoke's axe echoes through the strangely silent jungle. Greystoke doesn't notice the fearful tenseness of the silence. The jungle is cringing away from a monstrous shadow which moves ominously through the hushed and fearful night. A huge ape comes to the clearing. It is Borat, the crazed derelict of the jungle. He halts. His insane, bloodshot eyes catch sight of the unsuspecting Greystoke. They gleam hatred from beneath his shaggy brows. He bares his fangs as though in a horrid snarl, but no sound comes from his great throat. Slowly, noiselessly, the 350 pounds of stifled rage moves across the clearing. Bolt upright, his mighty arms dangling loose at his side. A shadow falls across the log which Greystoke is chopping. He looks up into the beastly, snarling face of the brute. Oh! The ape makes a lunge at Greystoke.
Out! Close the door!
Greystoke raises his axe, brings it down with terrific force. The ape catches the axe in his terrible hands and flings it from him. With bared fangs, he leaps at Greystoke. We continue with Edgar Rice Burroughs' famous story, Tarzan of the Apes. Greystoke throws himself flat on his face. The ape lunges past. Greystoke regains his feet. The ape is faster. Greystoke is running for the hut. The great ape from one powerful leap cuts him off. It's too late. Those horrible, hairy hands are reaching for him. Greystoke turns. His face is a horrible mask of terror. He looks into those inflamed, raging eyes. Oh, that voice is a terrible cry. A cry dreadful to hear. He screams. The man crushes his fist into the hairy face. It serves only to infuriate the brute. The huge mouth of the ape opens. His yellow fangs gleam. Greystoke struggles futilely to escape the mighty clutch. A hot, fetid bludgeon of the bull ape is on the man's face. It is the end. The end. Oh, there's no chance now. A shot. From where? The great ape screams with pain. Slowly, the great body sags until it drops on all fours, motionless. Greystoke watches the flame go out of the great beast's eyes. With a sighing grunt, the great man-beast of the forest topples over dead. Its jaws fall open. Its eyes grow cold, glazed. For a moment, Greystoke stands in frozen horror and wonderment. Then slowly realization dawns on him. His wife had shot the brute. He whirls and staggers to the cabin.
Alice. It's all right, dear. You shot him. Oh, Alice, where's the water? Where's the water?
It has got me.
There, darling, there. Everything is all right. It's all over, dear. I'm safe. And the brute is dead.
Oh, the beast.
Now, steady now. Everything is all right. He's dead, dear. Don't get excited. Relax, Alice. You're a little hysterical, that's all. Just a little hysterical.
While Greystoke is trying to soothe his wife, miles away from the little hut on the seashore, the death cry of Bolat came to the keen ears of the ape tribe. Some of the apes are grubbing at the roots of trees. Young are tumbling over each other in the clearing. Some are swinging indolently from branch to branch in search of fruit. The cry reaches their ears. All pause. All are silent for a moment. They recognize the death cry of one of their kind. As though one accord, they gather in the clearing. The females and young chatter excitedly. The males grumble. The hair on the back of their squat, powerful necks bristles. They hold a chaotic conference. One giant beast assumes command. He is Kerchak. Another male of huge proportion disputes him. In a few moments, one of the two bestial half-men will be the ruler. The other will be a torn and battered victim. The two contestants stand facing each other. The tribe makes a great circle. The greater of the apes emits a fearful cry, which echoes through the jungle to silence all within hearing distance with its ferocity. It is a challenge. With a snarl of rage and hatred, the smaller one hurls himself upon his opponent, burying his fangs deep into the other's shoulder. With a cry of rage and maddening pain, the greater ape smashes the other in the face with his open hand. Without a pause, without mercy, he's upon him again, fighting for a hold. The smaller ape is more agile. He eludes for a moment, but only for a moment. He's upon him again. Again, the smaller ape sidesteps him out with a savage blow. The greater ape catches his arm, breaks it with a snap. Howling with pain, the smaller ape turns to stand the other brute charge. He knows it'll be his last. He's still on his feet, only by the intensity of his dogged animal will. Triumphant, snarling, horrible to see, the brute advances. The others attack Asputal against him. The fighting arms affect him not at all. With a roar, the great beast is upon him again. Gasping, he sinks to defeat. The victor picks up the battered form and hurls it to the earth again and again and again. Then, satisfied, he voices his cry of victory, telling the jungle that he is the ruler of the tribe. No one disputes his claim. The rest of the tribe resume their chattering. The new ruler is issuing his first command. He gestures, grumbles. They all understand and take to the trees after him as he starts off through the jungle on his way from whence came the dying cry of Bolak. And in the little hut that Lord and Lady Greystoke built, we find that Alice has recovered from her fright.
Oh, John, you're alive. But it's only good fortune that you are. That was a lucky shot.
Well, that was a good shot. Whether from good luck or good marksmanship.
Oh, how I hate the jungle.
No, now, Alice. That probably won't happen again in a million years. But it's the first time one of those beggars has even really attacked us, you know.
Yes, I know. But I'm so tired of being afraid. And I'm even more fearful since the baby came.
No, hush, dear. As long as we're in the hut, we're safe. It was foolish of me not to have taken my rifle when I went out. I'll be more careful after this, and there won't be a thing for you to worry about, dear. Not a thing.
John, dear, will you please see what's the matter with him?
Righto. What is it, lad? Any complaints to make?
Is he covered up?
To the eyes? Oh, I see. He's sleeping on that wooden doll I made for him, and he finds it jolly uncomfortable, too. There. How's that? Fine. Now go to sleep and let me hear no more out of you. Oh, is that so? Well, tell me about it in the morning.
John, have you ever wondered what the baby will be like when he grows up?
Very much like any other English boy, I imagine.
Oh, no, he won't. Not living in the jungle all his life.
Nonsense, dear. He isn't going to live in the jungle all his life. Why, long before it's time for him to go to school, we'll be picked up. It's only a matter of time.
2 years, and not even a sight of a ship. No. I'm afraid that your optimism is commencing to ring a little false.
Nonsense. You're just upset after what's happened tonight, that's all. But even if we were doomed to stay here forever, it isn't so bad, you know. We've plenty to eat, and we're comfortable.
Yes, I know. But it's always living in fear of the jungle. However, there's no use harping on it, is there?
No, of course not. Try to forget about it.
Yes. Yes, I must. Would you mind closing the door?
Righto.
When Greystoke stepped to the door, The door he was never to close. He came face to face with a tribe of brutish, hairy figures.
Oh! Alice! My rifle! Quick!
In an agony of haste, John tried to close the door in the face of the great apes, but they thrust it open without effort and stood for a moment, blinking in the light.
Alice! The rifle! Hurry! On the table! Don't come near! Throw it! No! Don't bring it! Throw it! I can catch it!
Yes.
One great elk topples over dead. The other, maddened with fright and rage, surged into the room, overturning tables and chairs. The gun is wrenched from Greystoke's hand. An ape is peering into the crib. A feeble cry is heard. Kayla, the great female ape who still clutches the body of her dead baby to her breast, lets out a cry. She drops her baby into the crib and snatches the human baby. Clutching little Lord Greystoke to her shaggy breast, she huddles with him in the corner, protecting him from the fury of the tribe as they demolish the contents of the hut. Hours later, the cabin was silent. The jungle had taken its toll. Kayla, the great she-ape, departing, bears alive and wailing the little son of Lord and Lady Greystoke into the jungle fastness, where a strange destiny awaits this boy, who will become the mighty Tarzan of the apes. Again, we bring you another chapter of Edgar Rice Burroughs' amazing history of Tarzan of the Apes, the astounding record of a Superman who became the master of beasts and the mighty monarch of the African jungle. By the grace of a kindly God and the tender care of Kayla, at whose breast the little son of Lord and Lady Greystoke was nourished, Tarzan grew to young manhood. From his natural parents, he had inherited fineness and intelligence, and from his foster mother, Kayla, and the ape tribe, he had acquired tremendous strength, amazing agility, and animal cunning. And some 20 years since his abduction, we find Tarzan swinging through the jungles, a young man, splendid both in his youth and manhood. Carelessly, Tarzan's body swings from branch to branch. There's an easy grace about his perilous leaps and accurate catches as he progresses from limb to limb, which suggests both the assurance of the ape and the flowing rhythmic grace of a trained trapeze artist executing an often rehearsed feat of daring. Tarzan is off on a holiday. He's returning to the one place in the entire jungle that is his own, a place he had discovered long ago, a tiny hut on the shore of the great water. It has taken him many years to learn how to manipulate the odd mechanical thing which had swung open to him the door of that hut, which he would have been surprised to learn was the home of his mother and father, and his birthplace. However, the door of that hut had opened to him more than the interior of the rude cabin which Lord Greystoke had built for his wife and son. It had taught him that he was an M-A-N, not an A-P-E. It had taught him to read and write after a fashion. For hour after hour, year after year, he had pored over the first primer which he found there. But perhaps more important to his physical being and survival, it had given him access to the hunting knife which hung at his side and the locket which dangled from his throat. Occasionally, Tarzan left the ape tribe and ventured to his hut near the seashore, and now he's making his way there. It's late afternoon. The sun of a dying day is filtering through the dank foliage of the trees to make an intricate pattern of onyx and gold on the spongy mold on the ground beneath. The jungle is reverberant with sound. The chatter of monkeys, the singing of birds, and the occasional growling and snarling of the larger animals as they make their imperial way to the waterhole. Tarzan is happy. Happy as a schoolboy on a holiday. Swinging along his tireless arboreal way, he inhales the dank, pungent smell of the jungle with boyish delight. And the grim grandeur, the poisonous beauty of the jungle fills his soul with a feeling for which the ape language has no name. Meanwhile, off the West African coast, a small tramp steamer is plying her way through a placid sea. In the tiny salon of the ship are 4 people. Professor Porter, an old savant who exists in the present but lives in the archaeological past, his daughter Jane, a beautiful girl whose charm is not only that of beauty but of wholesome loveliness and intelligence. Of these charms, the young man of the group is fully aware. He is William Cecil Clayton, a young Englishman, typical of the blond, blue-eyed Oxford gentleman and eldest son of Lord Greystoke. The other man in the salon is the captain of the ship.
What are you reading, Father?
Yes, of course, my dear, of course.
I asked you what you were reading.
Sorry. A book, Jane. One of those dusty ones that you persist in believing gives me my hay fever. It's called Africa Cristana. Morchilli wrote it in 1816.
Only 1816? That's rather current fiction for you, isn't it?
A man ought to keep up with modern literature, or he's liable to become an old fogey. Clayton?
I suppose anything published after the flood would be considered rather modern by an archaeologist, wouldn't it, Professor Porter?
Yes. No. What did you say?
Oh, go on with your reading, Father. We won't disturb you any more. We're almost there, aren't we, Captain Tracy?
I beg your pardon?
Well, honestly, I don't know which is the worst, you or Father. It's enough to give a person an inferiority complex. I'm the only one aboard that seems to find me most fascinating.
You're forgetting me, aren't you?
Well, one could never forget anyone so gallant. But really, Captain, a person would think that you were burdened down with all the worries of the world.
Not all of them, Miss Porter, but I'm afraid I have my share.
Oh, really? What?
Merely a matter of ship's discipline. Nothing really important, I hope.
Beg pardon, sir, but I'd like to see you, sir.
What kind of discipline is this, Newton? Coming in without knocking. Take off your cap.
Yes, sir. Sorry, milady.
Well, what is it? What is it?
I'm afraid, sir, don't ever let them know I told you, sir. They skin me alive, that's what they do, sir. They skin me alive.
What are you talking about?
Mutiny, sir. Down below deck, sir. They're all in the forecastle, sir. Mutiny? Mutiny? Isn't there some law about that,
Captain? I smelled it coming. That rotten crew we shipped at Fed. My compliments to Mr. Yont, Newton. And tell him to report to me at once. Here. I'll batter those deck guys down in their hats and scuttle them like rats.
Pardon, sir. But it's the first snake off that's leading the mutiny, sir. He's down in the glory. I'm talking to him now, sir.
Oh, he is, huh?
Is there anything I can do, sir?
Don't worry, Clayton. I'll clean this affair up in a minute. You keep Miss Moore and the professor from being frightened.
I'm not at all frightened.
Beg pardon, sir. I'd better get dinner before they misses me. They'd kill me if they knew I'd informed you, sir.
All right, Newton. I'll remember this. Go below, then, and save your skin.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Clayton, you'll find 2 automatics in the drawer of that desk. You'll take one and come with me?
Certainly.
What am I going to use?
Good Lord, it's Newton. Come on, Clayton.
Righto. What's the matter? Is the door stuck?
That's nothing. We're barred in.
While the voyagers from the world outside are at the mercy of a mutinous crew, miles away, Tarzan is hanging from a tree branch, overlooking a clearing in the forest, and sees the beginning of a jungle tragedy. Sabor, the lioness, is dozing, surrounded by her happy family. One of her cubs wanders beneath the tree that hides Hista, the snake, the silent, strangling horror of the jungle. Hista, hungry and alert, drops part of her great and snarling length down from the branch, encircles the cub, draws it up into the tree to slowly force it down into her constricting being by the undulating, torturous contraction of those great ringed muscles. Sabor, the lioness, awakes to the danger with a snarl of mingled rage and anguish, hurls herself with a terrific leap to rescue her cub. She misses. Again and again she leaps in a frantic effort to reach the snake. Her roar shreds the chaotic monotone of the jungle into tatters. Sabor's bestial anguish moves Tarzan to pity. He falls forward, giving himself a tremendous impetus with his legs, and catapults himself through the air. It's a tremendous leap, superhuman. He's leaping for the end of Hista's tail. If he makes it, he may not be able to cling to that slimy, lashing length, and will fall to the infuriated beast below. He won't make it. He won't. He does. He slips. He slips. He holds. His weight nearly jerks Hista loose from the branch. Like lightning, Hista contracts to lash into the ground. But Tarzan lets go, drops to the branch beneath. Grasping it just in time, he falls fast. He dangles for a brief moment, but just for a moment. A snarl warns him. He's hanging close enough to the ground to be in reach of Sabor's vicious leaps. He pulls himself up to the branch. The tip of one of Sabor's claws cuts a tiny gash in his heel. He stands on the branch, gathers himself for a leap. Oh! Hista, seeing his body, slaps itself around his waist, tightens, then slowly commences to draw him up to the branch above, where it shall hold him fast against the branch and exert a terrific pressure which will crush him. Tarzan struggles terrifically, but slowly feels himself being drawn. Tarzan's mind races. With a great effort, he unwinds the grass rope around his waist, snatches the long hunting knife from its sheath, and plunges it into the narrow part of the reptile's tail. The snake writhes, but doesn't lose its hold. Hastily, Tarzan works the blade through the resisting muscular strength until the handle protrudes at one end and the blade at the other. The serpent's agony has caused it to lose the distance it's gained in drawing Tarzan to the branch on which it lies. Tarzan is on the level with the branch from which he's drawn. Hurriedly, he ties the rope above the knife, letting it slide down the snake's body until the knife keeps it from slipping. Then, working like a madman, he snubs the rope around the branch. Hista strains. The branch creaks ominously, but doesn't break. The pain of pulling against the knife in his body makes Hista slowly release its hold on Tarzan. Unable to let go of the branch above and secure to the one below, the great serpent is all but powerless. Its body is stretched up almost straight. Its dreadful leverage is gone. Tarzan climbs up the trunk of the tree, gains the upper branch. The cub is still struggling feebly. Tarzan, still clinging to the tree, extends his legs out, locks them around the branch and Hista's neck in what is known in wrestling as a scissors. He applies the pressure of those powerful legs. Harder, pulling the lion cub from the mouth of the reptile with one free hand. Hista's great mouth opens wider and wider, no longer eager to keep her prey, only anxious to escape the pressure of those powerful legs. The cub is free. Tarzan swings down, drops the cub gently on the ground and up again on the branch before Sabor can hurl herself upon him. Sabor, seeing her cub restored, pounces upon it, yelling it, turning it over gently, worried. The cub recovers its breath and whimpers. Convinced that her offspring is safe, Sabor turns her attention to the thing up in the tree. Tarzan sits panting. Strange that after his good deed, Sabor should be anxious to factor into ribbons jungle gratitude. However, undismayed, Tarzan looks down into the baleful eyes and snarling face of Sabor. There's an ominous creak, a splintering, The limb under Tarzan has given way. He's falling into the merciless fangs and terrible claws of Sabor. He grasps a small branch. It breaks. Tarzan plunges downward, falling to the ground. He strikes the ground. On his head and shoulder, he lies still, unconscious. Tarzan of the Apes, brought to you out the pages of Edgar Rice Burroughs' famous book. Tarzan lies unconscious on the ground. Sabor sees a lithe, hairless body innate and motionless before her. Crouching, snarling, her lean haunches gather beneath her back arches for the spring, her jaws gaping to reveal her yellow fangs. Merciless hatred for the thing which lies so helpless in front of her gleams from her baleful yellowish eyes. Poised, tense, crouched for the leap, the lioness waits for some movement, some motion which will send her hurling upon her victim. There is a moment of silence, a tense moment, a moment in which furious death waits to execute its grim mission. Poised, waiting. Slowly, Sabor's animal brain connects the presence of her cub with Tarzan. Hister was devouring the cub. Tarzan fought Hister. The cub is safe. Slowly, suspiciously, the great beast relaxes. The hair on her short mane gradually lies down, and her tensed haunches straighten. Slowly, very slowly, she advances toward Tarzan's limp body. Snarling deep in her throat, she stops, showing this strange creature lying so still before her the deference of fear. Cautious, ever ready to crush the life out of the thing with a mighty paw should it move, she advances closer and closer, step by step. Her sharp, pungent breath is hot on Tarzan's neck. Sabor sniffs. The thing has a strange scent. Not the scent of an ape. Sabor is puzzled. Tarzan stirs. Moans a little in his unconsciousness. Sabor leaps back, snarling, her powerful paw raised to crush the head of that strange creature. Slowly, she puts her foot back on the ground, circles Tarzan, and without further ado, trots away, urging her cubs before her. Sabor, the merciless killer, the feared, the dreaded, Sabor the beast, has learned gratitude. Tarzan lies unconscious. The fall would have been sufficient to kill an ordinary man, but Tarzan breathes. The jungle sun sinks lower and lower. Suddenly there is no day. A dank, steaming mist arises from the ground and drifts in great clouds through the forest, like ghosts of massive monsters returned from some primitive jungle of eons before. Tarzan still does not move. He lies easy prey to the savage beasts of the jungle, the deadly insects, the slinking leopard, the murderous gorillas, and worst of all, the snake, Hista, the silent, cold, crushing, slithering death. The moon comes up, making the jungle a wilderness of tall shadows, growing in a myriad of puddles of moonlight. The jungle becomes replete with sound. The whimpering cry of the lemurs, the weird laughter of the hyenas at the water hole, the roar of Numa, the lion, walking in imperial disdain, heralding his approach to the water hole. A cold, dead weight is slowly coiling itself around Tarzan's body. Its heavy, gliding pressure stirs him. With a growl of anger, Tarzan regains consciousness. The small steamer, bearing our passengers and the mutinous crew, steams down the golden path laid by the moon, off the sea, on the West African coast. The same moon which shines down upon the inert Tarzan, his cousin Clayton could see if he chose to look through a porthole of the ship Salon. How closely related, and yet how far removed these two. Tarzan, the ape man, and William Cecil Clayton. The four in the Salon, Jane and Professor Porter, Clayton and the captain, discovered that they're locked in. The crew is mutinied. Newton, the seaman, has informed the captain. Newton leaves. A scream is heard. It's his. Grabbing the two automatics, the captain and Clayton rush to the door. It's locked. We're barred in.
Oh, what are they doing to that poor man?
There, dear. Everything will be all right.
I'm afraid it won't be all right. This is mutiny. We can't stand here and let them torture that man this way. Open the door. Open it. Do you hear that? I won't stop it. I can't stand here and listen to that. I'm going to try and shoot the latch off the door. You'll do nothing of the sort. I'm captain here, and as long as I am captain, I'll be obeyed. Understand that. We've a devilish grave situation. This is mutiny. If I can get them to open that door of their own will, we have a chance. If I can't, we're better off in here.
I'd suggest, Mr. Clayton, that you leave the matter entirely in the captain's hands.
Sorry, Captain. Not at all. Miss Porter.
Yes, Captain.
You will find in the top drawer of my desk a small jade green bottle. Its contents are deadly. I hope it proves to be a souvenir of an unsuccessful mutiny.
You don't think, Captain, that it would be necessary?
This brew is the scum of Port Said. And Port Said, my dear Clayton, well, you've seen it.
I found the bottle, Captain. Thank you.
Isn't there some way that we can placate these mutineers, Captain? If it's money, why, I have a little...
And I have a great deal. See if you can buy them off. If they take the ship, everything on it is theirs anyway. Yount, my first mate, is in back of this, and Yount is no fool.
Rather an intelligent fellow, in fact. I've had several conversations with him. Seems rather interested in archaeology.
You stand away from the door, Miss Porter. Thank you. Mr. Yount! Mr. Yount, do you hear me? Yount!
Yeah, I heard you, Captain.
Come here and unlock this door.
And get shot down? Oh, thank you, Captain. Throw those two automatics. They're in your desk out the port first.
Are you presuming to order me, Mr. Yount? You'll lose your papers for this.
My papers? You're on the high seas now, Skipper. Not at the Admiralty. My papers? They've been changed, Tracy. They're captain's papers now.
You're mad. This is mutiny. Do you realize what that means?
Yes, and you'd better realize, too. Throw out those automatics on the deck. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you.
And I'm telling you, Mr. Yount, that I'll see this ship run aground in Hades before I'll take orders from you.
Yeah? Well, we'll quit the buddy arms off of your nosy man Newton here and throw him over the side. If those guns aren't thrown out on the deck in exactly 1 minute.
Oh! Throw them out, sir! Throw them out, please! Just throw them out! Oh, Captain, throw them out, please! Please throw them out!
There goes mine.
All right. Now, where's the other one?
Well, I guess they've got us there. Did you take the clip out of that automatic before you chucked it out, Clayton?
No, I didn't.
Not very clever of you. Well, here goes.
You're learning to take orders readily, Captain.
Come in here.
Oh, I just happened to think. Quick, Father, give me that map.
Why, yes. Where did I... Why, here it is.
Randall, you and Gates watch this door. If either the ex-captain or any of these passengers start to leave,
I saw it.
well, Tracy, it seems...
You dirty cad, you.
Shut up, Clayton.
I won't shut up. What?
You kill Satan. Stand back there, all of you, or I'll start blasting. That's just to show you how this ship is going to be run from now on. Only next time, I'll use the business end and not the butt of the gun.
I wouldn't be surprised if you'd killed him, Yonce.
It doesn't make a great deal of difference, Tracy.
Not to you, it doesn't. They hang them just as high for mutiny as they do for murder.
Not when there aren't any witnesses.
You don't mean...
That there won't be any witnesses? Yes.
Tarzan regains consciousness. A sinewy thing of all muscle is wrapping itself around him, slowly encircling him. He voices the ferocious cry of a battling beast. The contracting length wound around him tightens. Tarzan struggles. Then suddenly he feels himself lifted high in the air. Another moment, and he finds himself safe on the broad back of Tantor the elephant. Tantor, his friend. Despite his aching head, Tarzan gives a call of triumph. Tantor, the great beast of the jungle, whom even Sabor fears, hears the call of his friend. The wise beast knows that all is well with the white ape upon his back. Tantor is happy too, for Tarzan is dearer to Tantor than all else in the world. A strange jungle friendship, as strong as it is odd. Tantor throws back his great trunk and trumpets to tell the fastest of the whole forest and its denizens that the mighty Tantor and his friend Tarzan are passing on their way. Let all beware. Tarzan feels himself all over gingerly, and then shrugs. Nearness to death is life, not adventure in the jungle. Guiding Tantor by kicking him behind the ear, Tarzan directs the great beast to the seashore and his cabin. Tantor sways along his way at a speed which is almost unbelievable for so clumsy an appearance, tearing up the trees and brush which impede his way. Then Tarzan hears the beating of the surf, and in a few minutes they come out of the jungle onto the beach. A strip of white sand, a sea of darkness divided by golden bands. Tarzan looks down the path of the moon on the water. He gasps. A boat! That means men. Tarzan the ape thrills, because he sees in them that which he most wants to be, man. Tarzan the man. Tarzan of the Apes. From out the pages of Edgar Rice Burroughs' immortal book, we recall the strange history of Tarzan. Tarzan, the mighty hunter. Tarzan, the white god of a dark continent. Tarzan of the Apes.
You're mad, John. You're mad. There's only one way for you to save your skin now, and that is for you to let me resume command. Throw yourself on the mercy of the court when we return. If you assume command of this boat, it's your death warrant.
I'm the first mate. I take command when anything happens to the captain. Isn't that right?
When anything happens to the captain, yes,
It will.
well, get down to it, John. Get down to it. What do you want?
What do you think, Professor Porter?
I really wouldn't know, Mr. Young. I have never made a study of shipwrecks.
No, but you've made a study of old maps. Where is it?
Unfortunately, I don't know what you're talking about.
Stow that. Where is it?
If you will tell me what you are looking for, then perhaps I might not prove so obtuse.
Listen, you old fool. I'm talking about that chart. The one on which the treasure is indicated. Break it out. Where is it?
Mr. Young, do you mind if I open this port and let in some air?
Fango, open that port for the lady.
Oh, never mind. I'll do it.
Fango, get that lubber off of the floor and stow him on the bunk. Mr. Clayton seems to be taking quite a nap.
He isn't dead.
No, he's all right.
Well, Yount, what's your procedure?
Porter, where's that chart?
Really,
You don't know, huh?
I haven't the slightest conception what you're talking about.
Bad memory, eh? Well, there's a cure for that. An old Chinese cure. Gates, Fango, get the professor below. We'll try the water cure for his memory.
Aye, sir. Come on here, Governor.
Unhand
Come on now, quit your... Now, come on here.
Me.
Daddy!
Here, Yount. You wouldn't resort to torture.
No? Listen, Tracy. I'm not committing mutiny to be stopped by that old goat. Yes, I'll torture him. And if he doesn't come through then, there's the woman there. I want that chart, and I'm going to have it.
You're just a little too late, Mr. Young.
Late?
I threw the chart out the port when I opened it just now.
Jane, you didn't. Why, that chart might have opened a new vista of history.
I'm sorry, Father, but...
Oh, you threw it out of the port, did you? Well, young lady, I think you're lying. And for your sake, you'd better be. I'm going to search your stateroom. And if I don't find it... Gates, you and Fango keep watch here.
Skipper, I would suggest, John, that you drop anchor. You're coming in pretty close. The coastal curve is very gradual on the African west coast.
I'll run the boat, Tracy.
I see you will. Aground.
And another thing. If I don't find that chart in your stateroom, I'm going to give you exactly a half an hour to produce it, Porter. And then your daughter will wish you had.
You swine! We're in a quandary, I'd say. What would you suggest doing, Captain?
John isn't bluffing. The best thing is to give him the chart he's talking about. Because if we don't, John will make good his threats.
Where is the chart, my dear? Be careful that these men don't overhear.
I told the truth, Father. I did throw it overboard.
You mean the chart is gone?
Why, yes. Will it make any
Any
difference?
difference? All the difference in the world. You'll never get John to believe that you threw it out that port. He'll think you're trying to keep it from him. He'll try to make you tell by every way his devilish mind can think of.
Oh, Jane, you shouldn't have done that. There's no way to get it back now.
There might be.
How?
You know that small jade green bottle that contained poison, Captain? The one you told me to take out of your drawer?
Yes?
Well, I poured the contents of that out. I rolled the chart up and put it in the bottle before I threw it out the port. It might have washed ashore.
It has a good chance of it. The current in the cove swings up against the beach now.
Good. The loss of that chart would seriously affect the opportunity of finding vast treasure.
The loss of that chart means more than that, Professor Porter. It will mean the loss of all our lives. We've got to find that chart. We have to find it, that's all.
And if we don't...
It will be unfortunate that Miss Porter emptied the contents of that bottle.
Meanwhile, Yount, the mutinous first mate, has searched every inch of the passengers' cabins, ripping open mattresses, scattering the contents of their luggage, but to no avail. He cannot find the chart. Yount has risked much to get the chart. He leaves the wreckage of the last cabin. He will have that chart. He'll resort to the terrible torture used many years ago on the China Seas, the water cure, where the victim has water forced down his throat until his eyes protrude and his stomach distends, until the intense pressure inside his body bursts his heart. Anything to get that chart. Gaining the deck, Yount notices that the boat is well into the harbor. He orders the anchors dropped and the engines cut. Then, with a fiendish, dreadful glint of purpose making his eyes inhumanly cruel, he makes for the salon. He rips open the door.
Tango, go below. Bring 4 men topside, with buckets and lots of water.
See here, Yount. You're making a mistake. That chart did go out the port.
I don't believe it. They're all lying. But when I get through with you, you'll be begging to tell the truth. Begging.
Don't be a fool, Yount. We know what you're planning to do. Listen. Miss Porter threw that chart out the port. Before she did, she put it in a jade green bottle. The current in this cove will wash that bottle up on the beach. Let me and one of your men go ashore and look for it. To find it's our only chance of saving our skins.
Yount, convinced that Captain Tracy is telling the truth, finally agrees that the captain shall go ashore with 2 of his men to look for the bottle on the beach. But before Captain Tracy leaves, Yount takes the 2 men who are to accompany him outside the cabin and talks to them.
Gates, you and Fango go ashore with Tracy. He's looking for a jade green bottle that's washed ashore.
Aye, sir.
And when you come back alone. Understand?
I understand, sir. We'll stick the blighter. Fango's a hitchin' to carve his even initials in somebody's back.
All right. Get those davits out and put that boat over the side.
Crouching high up in a tree hidden from view, Tarzan watches as a small boat bearing 3 men pulls to shore. The ape-man for the first time is seeing beings of his own kind. His first impulse is to drop down the tree, run down to the beach to greet them. But the shyness of a wild thing keeps him motionless, staring from his retreat. Fango, the giant Chinese, whose eyes are dead and unblinking as a serpent's, and the sly Cockney Gates are rowing the heavy boat. In the bow sits Captain Tracy, his weather-beaten face a mask. Tarzan watches the men beach the boat and start walking slowly down the shore looking for something. Tarzan follows them, swinging slowly, silently from branch to branch in the wooded fringe which separates the jungle from the shore. Studying the first of his fellow men that he has ever seen, Tarzan takes a liking to the captain. The other 2 he despises. They slink behind the tall men as 2 cowardly hyenas following a sick lion. Tarzan's mind is in a chaos of curiosity. For what are they looking? Then he sees the tall man reach down with a cry and pick up something green from the beach. The 2 others snatch it from his hand. With a gesture, Tarzan freezes. There will be a fight. 2 against 1. Tarzan will go to the aid of the tall man. But to his surprise, the tall man merely shrugs and turns about to return to the boat. Is he afraid, Tarzan wonders? They retrace their steps. The tall man is still ahead, followed by the copper man and the weazened one. Tarzan follows them. His keen eyes see the weazened man nod to the copper man, whose eyes are like hista, the snakes. The copper man slowly draws a long knife from his waist. He stoops, then rushes up behind the tall man. Tarzan yells to warn him. Tracy turns at the fearful cry. The Chinaman's knife is descending on him. Tracy's fist shoots out. It lands on the oriental jaw. The knife descends, gashing his arm. But the blow has sent Fango back so that the cruel blade is not plunged into his body. For a second, all 3 stand motionless. Then Gates dives at Tracy's legs. Tracy brings up his foot, catches Gates full in the mouth. Gates groans, but catches the captain's legs. He goes down. Fango jumps on the captain, planting both knees in his chest, raises his knife high to plunge it into Tracy's heart. Tarzan drops from the tree, dashes down the beach toward the fighting men. The knife flashes downward. And now we bring you another episode of Edgar Rice Burroughs' amazing story, Tarzan of the Apes. Tarzan drops from a tree, dashes down the beach toward the fighting men. The knife flashes downward. Tracy closes his eyes. It's the end. Tarzan's flying feet send silent sprays of sand shooting out behind him. Fango's arm, which is driving the knife downward into Tracy, is grasped by Tarzan and pulled back with a terrific jerk which almost pulls his arm out of its socket. The Chinaman is hurled from Tracy's body and sent sprawling backwards. Dietz draws a knife and leaps upon Tarzan's unprotected back, but his shadow on the sand warns Tarzan. He whirls, catches the Cockney's upraised hand in his, and with his free hand he grasps the Cockney's throat. Tarzan's vice-like fingers close the man's windpipe. The Cockney's eyes bulge. His face turns a ghastly blue. He sinks to his knees, limp. Tarzan releases his death grip, and Gates pitches forward in the sand, unconscious, all but dead. For a second, Tarzan looks at his fellow men. His lip curls contemptuously. He turns to the others. Fango snatches the green jade bottle and runs for the jungle. Tracy's after him. Tracy knows that to return the battle to Yount is the only way to save Jane, Clayton, and Professor Porter. The giant Chinaman is swifter by far than Tracy, who doggedly runs after him. The two men disappear in the rank undergrowth of the jungle. Tarzan, puzzled, watches, and then follows them, leaving the inert Gates lying on the sand. Gaining the jungle, Tarzan leaps into a tree, swings off after the pair. His mind is in a quandary. The copper man and the wizened one are not trying to kill the tall man because they want to eat him. It's because of the green thing he had seen them pick up on the beach. They belong to the same tribe. They came from the same boat, yet two of them had tried to kill the other. It's all very strange, Tarzan thinks, as he speeds through the trees following the trail of the two men. He pauses for a second, standing poised on a branch, and looks down in the thick underbrush below, studying it for a moment. Evidently, the copper man, with eyes like Hista's, had outdistanced the man whose face he liked. The tall man had gone off in one direction in pursuit. It would be better to follow the copper man, the man he did not like, for he had the green thing which he had taken away from the tall man. Tarzan leaps to another branch and is on his way with terrific silent speed of an arboreal ape on the hunt. He comes upon the Chinaman pushing his way through the jungle. He is no longer running, but walking, seemingly a little uncertain of his course. The man is lost. With a suddenness which makes the Chinaman step backward with a cry, Tarzan drops down in front of him. An expression of terror crosses the Oriental's face. But he's no coward. He stands his ground, waiting. The Chinaman is nearly as tall as Tarzan. He's a brute of a man, heavy-muscled, agile. The copper man appraises the bronze giant who stands observing him so curiously. Slowly, hardly perceptibly, the Chinaman's hand creeps to the knife at his belt. Tarzan sees the movement, but is indifferent to it. By the time it'll take the copper man to draw the knife and come close enough to bring it into play, he'll be ready for him. Suddenly, Fango whips the knife from his belt, pulls it back over his head, hurls it with the full force of his tremendous arm. The knife tries striking him in the shoulder. With a triumphant cry, Fango rushes the ape man. Meanwhile, aboard the tramp steamer in the harbor, we find that Jane Porter and her father and William Clayton, locked in the salon, waiting for Tracy to return the jade green bottle, which will save their lives.
This waiting is driving me mad. I'll play you a game of Russian bank until Captain Tracy comes back, Mr. Clayton.
You know, I've a hunch that Tracy isn't coming back.
Nonsense, Clayton. Of course he's coming back. He'll have no alternative. That pirate Yount sent two of his men ashore with him. At the same time, I wish I knew what had happened to Philander.
It wouldn't surprise me if he sent those men not to make sure that he would come back, but to make sure he wouldn't. I saw Yount take the Chinaman aside and tell him something. By the nasty look in the beggar's face, I'd say that it didn't look any too well for the captain. As to Philander, he can't be any worse off than we are.
You're right. Our own position is none too safe. In fact, it might almost be classed as hazardous.
Oh, I hardly think Yount would dare do away with us. If Captain Tracy finds the chart, we'll probably lose the treasure, if there is a treasure, and then be set ashore in some strange port to make our way back as best we can.
Yount would dare anything. With any of us alive, he's in constant danger. However, if he can do away with us, disband the crew and scuttle the ship, he'd be comparatively safe. Naturally, the ship would be reported missing. And after a while, it would be thought one of the tragedies of the sea, where a ship goes down with all hands lost and is never heard of again.
Well, you have the most charming imagination, Mr. Clayton.
Oh, I don't wish to be alarming, but we might as well face this thing. We're in a beastly hole.
On the other hand, Clayton, there's no use congesting our livers by getting into a frenzy about it. No. There's nothing we can do but wait. So let's wait with the minimum of effort.
If there were only some way we could barricade ourselves and at least hold them off for a bit. By Jove!
What?
As long as the ship is at anchor, no one is likely to go near the steering gear.
Well?
And it's on the deck below this, a filthy hole, but it has a watertight compartment door. It's the last place they would look for us in, and even if they did find us, they'd have the Dickens' own time getting into us.
Well, the only trouble with your idea, Mr. Clayton, seems to lie in getting there.
And that I don't think is so very difficult. I've been watching our guard. He's a big Negro, a mute. And being a mute, he can't raise an outcry.
But this door is locked. We can't...
One good jar would burst it open. We'll both throw our weight against it. Once outside, you and Jane make for the steering gear. I'll take care of the Negro.
All right. Let's try it.
Right. Both together. Now! Run now! I'll get the guard. The sound of the door being burst open carries faintly to the captain's cabin, where Yount is sitting with his right-hand man, Snipes.
What was that? I didn't hear nothing, Chief. I thought I heard something. Anyway, I'm going to take every man ashore. And I'm going to find Tracy and that double-crossing cheek and limey if I have to crawl across Africa on my hands and knees.
Maybe they're still looking for the green bottle on the beach.
Don't be a fool. They found the bottle, and the three of them have gone after the treasure. Tracy's got a smooth tongue. He talked them into running out on me. But I'll find them, and when I do, it'll be very artistic, Snipes. All hands on deck, and ship 'em all over the side.
Shall I leave the dumb nigger to stand watch over the passengers?
No.
Ain't they liable to get away?
No.
You ain't going to...
Yes. We gotta get rid of them sometime. Give me that automatic. And get these men in the boats while I cancel our passengers' round-trip tickets.
Righto. I'll send one of the boats back after you as soon as...
This way, Porter.
What was that? Hey! Look out the port here!
What?
The guys have busted down the salon!
Well, let me see. A fine guard you put over them.
Shall I follow them, Chief?
No. They're going below. Let's see what their game is.
Right, go.
Come on.
Now we return to Tarzan. He tries to lift his arm. There's a shooting pain in his shoulder. If he moves his arm, he'll cut a muscle. The arm is useless until he removes the knife. Fango is upon him, confident that his strength will equal that of Tarzan now that one arm is crippled. Fango snatches up a dead branch, swinging the club around his head, bears down upon Tarzan. Tarzan stands motionless, waiting. Fango wields the club high, brings it down with tremendous force. With a speed greater than any boxer's, Tarzan sidesteps. The club barely misses him. Tarzan's good arm shoots out, catches the Chinaman around the waist. With a mighty jerk, sends Fango spinning, the club flying from his hand. Before he falls, Tarzan is upon him. Running low like a football player, Tarzan strikes Fango with his good fist just above the knees. Chinaman falls over Tarzan's back. At the same time, Tarzan stands up, grabbing the Chinaman's foot. Fango hangs over Tarzan's shoulder like a sack of meal, holding the Chinaman's ankle in an armed grasp. Tarzan starts to revolve. Faster, faster. Fango swings out wide in an arc. Tarzan, with superhuman strength, swings to his ankle as he turns faster, faster. Tarzan is swinging Fango around with him. And as an athlete to swing a hammer, leaning back farther and farther, turning faster and faster. Suddenly, Tarzan lets go. Fango flies through the air with a flash of fire. Fango crumbles at the base of the tree, stunned. He struggles to his feet, wavers. There's fear in his eyes. Fear for this man whose strength is that of the great apes. Tarzan is upon him before he can run. Fango picks up a huge rock, raises it high over his head with both hands, and hurls it at Tarzan. The rock flies directly at Tarzan's head. Tarzan ducks. It misses him by a fraction of an inch. On Tarzan comes. Fango turns to run. It's too late. The ape-man's charging body strikes him, drives him against a small tree. Tarzan's good arm wraps about the Chinaman in the tree. The great muscles in his arm tense. Slowly, as he crushes the murderous, writhing Fango against the tree. The great muscles in Tarzan's neck, shoulder, and arm knot and swell as he exerts his terrific strength. Tarzan releases his hold. The Chinaman slumps to the ground. Tarzan gives no further attention to the dead man. Slowly, carefully, he removes the knife sticking from his shoulder. The pain makes his jaw muscles bulge. The knife comes out easily, and to his surprise, he can now move his arm. The wound is minor but painful. Tarzan selects leaves from a nearby shrub, and with them treats the open wound. He turns his attention to the dead Chinaman, searches him until he finds the green bottle, and starts with never a backward glance at his victim to seek the tall man to whom the bottle belongs. Swinging with easy grace and miraculous speed, Tarzan comes upon Captain Tracy, hopelessly lost in the maze of undergrowth. A slight movement in the tall grass behind Tracy catches Tarzan's eye. A tawny shadow. Numa, the lion, crouched for a spring.